Hey, podcast listeners, welcome to What You're Reading, the podcast where I connect with fellow book enthusiasts to chat about our latest reads, the topics that fuel our bookish obsession, and all those things that keep us glued to those pages. Hello to everyone. Today's episode has probably been one of my most anticipated episodes that I've been on pins and needles to release. If you are new around here, let me just go ahead and tell you that last year, one of my favorite romance authors was Kennedy Ryan. And I really wanted to bring someone on the podcast to just talk about why her romances have had such an impact on the reading community, what we love about them, and why we just cannot get enough of her books. So today I'm sitting down with fellow Bookstagrammer Tristen from her shelf Indulgence, and we're talking all things romance and Kennedy Ryan. Why we love her, what has connected us to her, why her stories are so different, unique, and hard-hitting. It's really just a Kennedy Ryan episode. I just want to give you a heads up. There are no spoilers talked about in this episode. We are going to discuss her newest book, This Could Be Us, which is scheduled to release on Tuesday, March 5th. Again, there are no spoilers in this episode. I know quite a few of you have been waiting for this book to come out, so I didn't want to ruin anything for you. So you'll be able to sit back and enjoy. One other thing that I want to say before we get into the episode is for some of the books, we just started talking about them because we were so excited. And I didn't realize until afterwards that we didn't give synopsis. So I'm going to give a couple of quick synopses here for some of the books that we talked about. If you're familiar with Kennedy Ryan's work and you've read Real and her Hoops series, as well as Before I Let Go, you can go ahead and check the show notes to skip forward and get into the episode. For those of you that are not familiar with any of those books, listen up for a quick synopsis so that when you hear us mention those things in the episode, you will already kind of have an idea of the type of book we're talking about. So Real is one of the books that we mention, and in this one, we're following our two main characters, Cannon, who is a director and is working on a new film, and Nevaeh, who is an up-and-coming Broadway actress who lands the role of a lifetime. So we follow this kind of forbidden romance between a director and his lead actress. There are lots of other things that are going on. Nevaeh is living and dealing with lupus, so we watch her journey through that, as well as some complicated and interesting family dynamics that go on as well. We also talk about the Hoop series, which is a trilogy including Long Shot, Block Shot, and Hook Shot. I do want to say, if you are going to read this Hoop series, I definitely suggest that you head over to Storygraph and check trigger warnings. I think Long Shot is probably the heaviest one of all three. That's also book one. It does deal with domestic violence. However, in Hook Shot, which is book 3, that one does talk a little bit about child abuse. So please, again, make sure that you head over and you check Storygraph for those potential triggers. In the first one, Long Shot, we are following two characters, Iris and August. They hit it off on their first meeting, but unfortunately, Iris is already in a relationship. August finds out that Iris is in a relationship with his all-time basketball rival. So we follow these two over the years as they keep bumping into each other and kind of build a friendship, and then what happens to eventually be their love story. Blockshot is probably the lightest book in terms of subject material. It's also the steamiest, in my opinion. And this one, we're following a second chance romance between Jared and Banner. Jared is the brother of August from book 1 and also a sport agent. Banner is a sport agent as well. They knew each other in college, and now we're fast forwarding many years later. They're both very high profile sports agents. They are competitors, and it follows their second chance romance. And finally, the third book, which is Hookshot, we follow Keenan, who is a teammate of August, again from book one, and Lotus, who is the cousin of Iris from book one. So we follow the teammate and the cousin from our two main characters from book one as they build a friends to lovers romance. Again, this one does have a little bit of description of child abuse as well as some self-harm. So please make sure you check triggers before reading this book. And finally, there is the Skyland series, which the first book is Before I Let Go. This is another second chance romance between two individuals that were divorced, have two kids, and have a business together. We're following them a couple of years after their divorce. We see how they are trying to manage co-parenting as well as being still both business owners of their shared business and dealing with if they still have feelings for each other, what's going to happen. There's a lot of tension. And I also suggest you check triggers for this as well, as it does deal with grief in quite a few areas. And book two in the Skyland series is This Could Be Us, which is the newest book, again, set to release on March 5th. In this one, we're following Soledad, who is a friend of Yasmin from book one, and her life is pretty much in shambles. Her marriage is in trouble, and she's really just trying to hold the pieces of everything together. We follow her story as she gets out of her marriage, what leads to that, and as she enters into a potential new relationship, what that looks like, what it looks like being a single parent to three daughters, and just trying to keep a roof over their head as well as a comfortable lifestyle. So those are the main three Kennedy Ryan books that we refer to in this episode. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit more information. So as you hear us talk to them, you have a frame of reference about what these books are if you haven't read any of them yet. All right, guys, let's get into it. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode. Today's going to be fun. And today's going to be really fun because we are going to be talking about one of my favorite authors. And it's crazy because I only started reading her books last year. And if you've been around my Instagram for a while, around this podcast for a while, you know I am talking about the one and only Kennedy Ryan. And so I have a fellow Kennedy fan with me today, and fellow Bookstagrammer and just all of the things. And so I'm so excited to sit down and have this conversation about romance books in general, what we kind of look for, what we gravitate to, what we love, but also like why Kennedy Ryan is like top tier. So without any further ado, I would love to introduce you guys to Tristen. Say hello to the people.
Hello, beautiful people.
So right at the top, I really like to give our listeners a little bit more information about you, about kind of like what you read, your reading taste, your background, all of that. So we'll start with these first two questions. And the first one is, what is the last book that you read?
The last book that I read was actually The Reformatory by
Tanana Reeve.
Yes, there you go. Tanana Reeve Do. That was a good book. That was hard, but it was good.
I just finished that one as well. Did you physically read or did you listen to the audio?
I listened to the audiobook. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks these days. So that's what I have time for. But yeah, I listened to the audiobook.
It was good. I'd read something else from her.
Yeah, I would too. I'm not a big historical fiction fan because Black history
Yeah.
is too much. I want to be happy when I read. So Black history is a little tough sometimes. So I would definitely read something of hers again, probably next year.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. You kind of gotta. I don't know if you can ever be in the mood for it. I was gonna say you have to be in the mood for it. I don't know if you can ever like be like in the mood to read something that is gonna affect you certain way like that, but you just have to be prepared maybe for it. Okay, well, what's something that you are like currently reading, loving or not loving?
There is actually a book called We Are the Origin by D.M.
Mm.
Lockhart. It's like a fantasy, and I checked in with the author to kind of get a feel of where she was going with this or where the inspiration was. So it was inspired by like an anime that she watches, which I love anime. So I was like, this is perfect. But it's like a fantasy book, and so far it's pretty good.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know. I can't picture a cover, so I'm gonna have to check that one out. So when are you like I know I see you reading romance a lot on Bookstagram, but do you have like what's the second tier? Like are you a fantasy? Are you a thriller? Like what's that second tier that you love?
I think it would be between thriller, suspense, or fantasy. It just
Okay.
depends. It depends on my mood, you know. Do
Okay.
I feel like getting into the world building and all that other stuff, or do I just want to be thrilled? It just
Right.
depends.
Well, if you don't mind, like kind of tell the people about your maybe like reading background, what made you start a Bookstagram, the type of content that like is like close to your heart that you love to share. Just give us a little bit more of a view of.
I started my Bookstagram last year. I actually hit my 1 year mark in January of this year or something like that.
Yay! Congratulations.
And thank you. And I used to be a really like big time reader, like in high school.
Hmm.
And then I went to college
Yep.
and no more. After reading all those textbooks, I was like, I don't want to read anything else. So then after having two kids and kind of trying to figure out like what my thing was in my downtime other than sitting on the phone and scrolling, I rediscovered my love for books. And that's been like my reading is like my Roman Empire, I guess.
Yeah. I've talked to so many people who have the similar storyline of like, yeah, I read a lot as a kid, all through high school, went to college, or, after high school, even if it wasn't college, like just life, having to be an adult. And now that it seems like things have kind of like panned out, or I'm in a nice groove in my life, like people are coming back to reading. And I love that journey.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's been therapeutic even
Yeah.
for sure. Like it's a good space to be in.
Yeah, yeah. Was there a book that like sparked like do you remember like reading like a certain book that like sparked or reignited that love of reading?
7 days in June.
Oh.
It was
Of
7 days.
romance.
I
Oh.
read a few books before that and I was like, okay, this is cool. But 7 days in June, I was like, absolutely, yes. Where are more books like this?
I love it. Love it. Love it. That's such a good Tia Williams is just another great romance author. So sticking with the romance, when you're reaching for one, when you're in the mood, what are you looking for? What's either a trope that's like an automatic yes, or just anything that automatically attaches you to a book and you want to try it out?
If it's a romance book with a black couple on the front,
Mm,
I have got to pick it up because there's just something about reading black love that just resonates with my soul.
yes.
Like I can relate
Yes.
to this.
Yes. So regardless of trope, if it's a black romance, you're in.
Pretty much. I'll give it a try. I don't like the miscommunication
Mm.
trope going on. I'll probably shut it down after a while on that one. But yeah, for the most part, I'll give it a go.
Do you DNF heavy or do you like push through? Like, so if it's
No.
miscommunication and you're like, no, you're out.
Yeah, no. If it's no. I'll DNF in a second.
I push through more than I should. I'm trying
Yeah.
to learn that skill of DNFing better.
I read it's not even a romance or maybe it is, I don't know. Tomorrow last
Mm.
year. And
Mm-hmm.
I got through like 70% of the book and I was like, why am I still reading this? It's terrible.
What is it? That's like the gaming one where they're
Yeah.
like gamers. Okay, is
Yeah.
it like I could never figure out what spectrum that one was on. Is it like fantasy? Is it
I
you're like,
don't
I don't know.
know. I can tell you. I don't, that book was I was so disappointed because I like play video games too. So I was like, oh, this will be perfect. No, I don't even know what to tell you that book is about. It I guess like a slice of life. I don't know.
What are like you talked about like miscommunication is like something that you hate. Do you have any others?
Miscommunication, and then I guess when I don't know what the the book term for it is, but if there's a character that's just like unsure of themselves or like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not enough, and it just happens too much in the book, I'm like, all right, girl, like I can't take it. Like you gotta
Mm.
pick yourself up a little bit.
Right, right. So you
Yeah.
gravitate more towards like those strong, confident
Yes, and I mean, if you're a
characters.
little weary every now and then, like, okay, because we're all human, but don't bring yourself down this whole book.
That gets old, especially if it's paired with like now you have this, and of course I'm thinking of like Tyler Perry stuff, and no shade, it's just it gets
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you have like this guy and like all of a sudden like he's making everything amazing, and he's told you you're beautiful and now you believe you're beautiful, like
Yeah.
when it's like the guy has to come in and like give the boost of confidence, it's
Right,
kind of
exactly. Like no self-worth at all before homeboy came into the scene. Like, no.
tropes that you found that like you absolutely love in romance books.
Second chance romance. Love those. I like the found family trope.
We're going to talk about this in a minute, but oddly enough, like both of those are in Kennedy Ryan's like latest books. So like the second chance
Mhm.
romance is Before I Let Go, and then I feel like the found family is also in that one and in This Could Be Us, and we're going to get there guys, I promise, but I feel like This Could Be Us, the found family was more prevalent than it was in Before I Let Go. And she still had family. I think that was also part of the interesting thing. Like it wasn't like she was Soledad, the main character. It wasn't like she was like on the outs with her
Right.
family. Like she still had family, but she also had this really strong, great girlfriend group.
Oh, yes. The girlfriend connection in the Skyline series is just I just love it.
It's great. Are there any other? I'm trying to think. Are there any other second chance romances that you've loved recently?
The 7 Month Itch, it's a new book actually.
Oh.
It's a debut book by Tanvier Pert. I think that's how you say her name. It's about it's kind of actually when I put my review on Bookstagram, I was kind of getting like Before I Let Go vibes just a little bit, like Before I Let Go's little cousin, kind of going through the same things. A husband and wife that are separated, that have been
Mm.
separated for 7 months, go on this singles retreat, and they just end up just happen to be on the retreat together. So
Wait,
it's
they both are going on a singles retreat separated and had no idea the other one was going? Oh
exactly.
Lord.
Yes. So there's like a little bit of that tension there. And then it kind of goes into like why they separated in the first place. And I was like, okay, I like this.
I don't know if you read this one, Forget Me Not by Julie Soto
No, I have.
last year. It's got like the really pretty like purple flowers on the cover, and it's like the guy is holding the girl's chin and she's looking up to him and he's got like the top knot and tattoos. That one was cute. And I loved it because the main character is a wedding planner and I have a wedding planning background. So a lot of the like stress and things that she was going through, I was just like, yes, girl, oh my gosh. Or like I was yelling at her at some of like the things that she like dropped the ball on because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
how could you do this? So it was really nice. And then the male love interest, he is a florist and he ends up taking over his dad's business and he's creating like all of these wonderful flower designs and decor and stuff for people's wedding, and they were together and they broke up and they've been broken up for I want to say a couple of years, and she's has this really big bride client and the bride client wants him as the florist to create, so they have to work together and it's just perfect tension. He's one of the grumpiest characters I have ever read.
A little grumpy sunshine.
Yes. Yeah. And she's exactly that. She's so bubbly and she walks in his shop with coffee and donuts and he's like, "Don't eat in here. This is my business. Do not eat in here." And she like ignores him and starts he's like, "You're getting crumbs everywhere." Like it was just it was really fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's probably another trope that I love is the grumpy sunshine because that's probably like me and my husband. Like he knows how to have fun, but for the most part, he's all serious and stuff, and I'm skipping around, singing songs and stuff.
That is so fun. So who are, other than of course Kennedy Ryan, do you have favorite romance authors where it's either automatic buy for you or you've loved mostly what they've written?
Tia Williams is good,
Yeah.
even though the only book I've read was 7 Days in June. That was really, really good. I have her second book.
The Perfect Fine.
Yes. I have that one. I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
Um, Let me see.
Did you
Who?
watch the Netflix show?
No, I haven't.
I know we always say the book was better,
Right.
but like really in this case, the book was so much better. Like if
Really?
in my opinion, if I would have watched the Netflix adaptation first, I
Hmm.
probably would not have been interested in the book.
Okay, see, and that's why I was just like, let me just read the book first and then
Yeah.
watch the Netflix. Because if I watch the Netflix and it's trash, then I'm gonna be mad and not read this book.
Yeah. Yeah. People, I mean, people who who did, I guess maybe because I went into it expecting it to be so much more like the book, and it
Uh-huh.
was in areas. They of course changed some things, and so people who have watched it that had no knowledge of the book, from what I've seen, really enjoyed the show. And for the
Hmm.
most part, the people who read the book and watched it were kind of like,
Yeah.
y'all could have done a little bit better. And I think
Yeah.
it has to do with doing a series instead of a hour and 30, turning a book into an hour and 30-minute movie is a little
Just
harder.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and get into it with Miss Kennedy. What have you read her entire catalog? Which series or books have you read?
I have read the Hoops series. I
Okay.
have read Real. I have read the both the books in the Skyland series. I have the Kingmaker. Mhm.
I haven't read those. I think we're right neck and neck. I think those are the same ones. I've read that, and then she had another one. Is it the Grip series?
Yes, Grip.
I haven't read those either. And I feel like she has a few others out there, but out of the ones that you've read, and I know this is a horrible question, and I'm so sorry to do this to you, but out of the ones that you've read, one favorite, just one.
One.
One. If you had to save one from being damaged and you could only save one, what is the one you're reaching for?
Well, I'll have to say because I'm letting my cousin borrow before I let go. So if that's the case and I have to save what I have, then it'll be Long Shot.
Okay. I think I would probably go with Before I Let Go. Like, and maybe that's because it was my introduction to her.
Yeah, mine too.
So yeah, that was like set the bar so hard. But Long Shot is so good. It's another heavy one, but it's
It's
so
so
good.
heavy, but my God, that book was amazing. Tears, tears.
Yes.
Both of those two books I saw, I was like, I don't know. That's if I had to choose between those two, I'm only choosing Long Shot because I have to and because that's the book that I have with me right now.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if you've had this conversation. I've tried to explain how heavy the book is, but also how good the book is. And like when I've tried to explain it, like I end up sending people voice memos because I'm like, I know this sounds weird. I know this sounds really weird that I'm saying it's a love story. It deals with domestic violence, check triggers. It's super heavy. There are cringe scenes, but it's so good and I love it. And people are like, that doesn't add up.
Right. Like, yeah, I had the same issue. But it's I mean, even just thinking about it, I'm just left speechless because of how moving the book was.
She knows how to write. So if you had to convince someone to read it, how would you convince them to read it?
I just say, just read it. I don't know.
Just trust
I
me.
mean, it's going to like tear your heart into shreds and then put it back together again. And you're just going to feel for the characters and anybody that's going through, that has gone through or that is going through this issue in this book. And it's just brilliant. I don't know how to tell somebody it's going to it's going to break you, but it's so good.
It's worth it. The breaking is worth it.
So worth it.
One of the things that I love about that book, and as I was talking to someone recently, I saw it on her stories that she was reading it, and she was just like, I don't know, guys, like I just read a really difficult scene and I know everyone says they love it and I don't know. And I sent her a voice memo and I was like, keep going. You take a break. Take a break if you need to, but do not give up on this book. And then I saw another story and she was just like, and I can't give away a spoiler, but there's a decision that the main female character makes, and she was like, I'm so glad that she decided to prioritize herself
Uh-huh.
when she made this decision. And I didn't even, I mean, I think I thought about it, but I didn't even really think about it because, again, in a lot of the typical romances, like you lean on the male character
Mm-hmm.
to uplift you or make things better or quote unquote save you. And
Right.
in this one, our female main character, she saved herself.
He was like, no, he had no parts in her saving herself. Like no parts at all, actually. He was just kind of like on the back burner for a little bit,
Yeah.
which I appreciated because I was like, okay, take care of yourself. You better grow, girl. You better be safe. I just loved it. She's just ah, Kennedy.
So sticking with that Hoop series, what would be the next one that you loved?
Hook shot. Block
That one.
shot. I couldn't get past. That is actually probably my least favorite trope of all time. If you know what I'm talking
Okay.
about,
Yes.
what happened
Yes.
there?
And guys, we cannot tell you what the trope is because I think the trope would be a spoiler. But I
Yes.
am so with you because I was like, it didn't have to, this
I was like,
specific
it
way didn't
happened
have to happen that way.
that way. It didn't happen. I just gotta just communicate a little bit. Just a little communication. It didn't have to happen. And I think that was probably the lowest rating Kennedy Ryan book that I've ever done. And it just hurt my heart, but I was like, I cannot get past this. Like
Yeah.
it just it hurts my soul that it didn't happen like this.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. And ironically, I think out of the three from that series, that's like the spiciest book.
Yeah.
There are some scenes in there, like there's a scene on a balcony and I in a restaurant and I'm like, whoa,
Oh,
buddy.
we out here in the public, in the public eye. Okay.
Yeah, there's like one point and what's his name, Jared knows and he's loving it and I'm just like, this is
Yeah,
giving me anxiety because y'all
he
are
did
way
not
too
care.
close to other people.
He did not care about anything. The whole book, he was gonna get what he wanted, and that
By
was
force, hell or
yeah,
high water, I'm
yeah,
taking what I want.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like
And I
okay,
honestly, I think if that was a fantasy book, like I probably would have been a little bit more okay with it. But for whatever reason, because it's like real life, like,
yeah,
portrayed as real life people, yeah, there were some things in there where I was just like, oh, I don't like this decision that's
yeah.
happening.
But I'm gonna keep reading it because it's Kennedy.
What do you think it is about? Because I've tried to identify this to see if I could find anyone else that's, I don't know if I could ever find someone that's on the same level of the way that I love her. But what do
Uh-huh.
you think it is that makes her such a hit? The writing, the storylines, like, and I don't know that I'm necessarily reading completely original storylines, right? Like a second chance romance to divorce, I mean, separated people that are coming back together. Like I don't know that she's necessarily the only one who's done something like that, but what is it for you, or what do you think that just makes her writing or her stories like so?
I think it's just because she gives you that it's more than just like romance. Like if you pick a Kennedy Ryan genre, yes, she's a romance writer, but I think she also focuses on like women's fiction, a story about the woman and then what she's going through and how she overcomes it. There's always something that you'll learn, like whether it be a health issue or
Mhm.
like a mental health issue, communication, I don't know. There's always something that you're going to learn about certain topic. Before I let go, parenting in
Mm,
divorce, trying to navigate co-parenting. I haven't had to do that, but that sounds hard. And
yeah.
I don't know, she just like the feelings of everybody involved, the kids, the husband, the wife, the different points of views. It was just I don't she just knows how to wrap everything up so well. And you'll get educated about something, and then you'll probably cry 90% of the time.
And she's going to give you some of those hard anger feelings sometimes too. So,
Yeah.
like, when I read Real, right out the bat, that first chapter, I was ready to fight. Like, are you kidding me? Again, I won't say the trope for spoilers, but that is probably one of my least, like, I don't even know if I can say least favorite tropes, but it just gives me the ick.
Yeah, it's not it. It's not it for me. You can hear the anger in my voice. I can't get my words together.
But that one was, like you said, I love the way that she intertwined in Real this idea of the forgotten stories of Black artists, musicians, and,
Mhm.
paying homage and tribute and everything to them. And I think I read that really close to Symphony of Secrets by Brandon Slocum.
Uh-huh.
And that one is, I don't know if you've read that one.
No, I've heard about it.
Okay, that one is like, what would you do if it's not a romance? It has a, I don't
Well,
even know if I can. It has, like, some flirtatious
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
in
yeah.
there, but it's not a romance. And it's like, what would you do if you loved this huge American composer? You've lived your whole life like studying his work. You have a rare opportunity to study one of his original compositions and to try and like complete it. And you find out through his journals that he may have stolen all of his stuff from a Black female. And now the organization that you're working for is doing everything in their power
To
to
hide.
shut you down from telling this truth.
Yep.
So I was reading, I think I was reading both of those around the same time, and I just loved how Kennedy like was uncovering, like, there was this other hidden story of uncovering what could have been in all of these legends that we may
Mhm.
never know their story and how they contributed to the arts. So you're right, she does. She weaves so much other stuff in it. And I mean, just, being honest, I'm not sure anyone else could really successfully do it. I've tried a few.
Mm.
I tried one and it was Black Hollywood-ish, and I was so bored.
What was it?
It was Behind the Scenes by Christina C. Jones.
Oh, I know
And it
her.
wasn't the writing. I don't know what it was. I could not connect to the character. Like, and not even I hate saying connect because you don't have to necessarily connect, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the romance. Like, I don't know, like, I didn't get enough of them to make me feel anything.
Yeah.
And so I was just reading to read, probably one I should have DNF'd. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of romance books, I'll read them, and you have like Kennedy Ryan who writes amazing books, like top tier, and then you have like, I don't say regular you have other romance authors where you just listen, like you read a book, you're like, okay, that was cute. That was cute.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. And I just had this conversation the other day with another bookstagrammer. But that's the way I feel about Emily Henry. I don't know if you've read anything by Emily Henry, but
I
I
have.
feel like in the moment, like, oh, this is cute. But after, like, I can't tell you the characters' names.
Right. Right. I read Happy Place. That was the first Emily Henry book I read. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this was cute. This was funny. I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you who those people are in that book. I
Yeah.
can't tell you their names. I don't can tell you where they went. I really can't recall too much. They were on a Ferris wheel at one point.
Yeah, she does so great. And and I know there could be some others out there that we just haven't discovered, but I am really, and I'm trying to move through her catalog slowly.
Uh-huh.
So like I always have something, to reach
Right.
for. I know that's not going to last very long. But I am always just like so surprised and shocked by the quality, and just like, it's like, man, she did it again. Let's talk about her newest read. And by the time this episode airs, people will be able to, or her newest book, by the time this episode airs, people will be able to officially go buy it. We
Uh-huh.
both got the art copy. And I think I saw in your story, like, you got it and you were reading it same day.
Immediately. Because I was like, at first I was emailing forever, like, hey, I don't usually do this, but how do we get an arc? And then she released it on NetGalley, and I was like, oh, let's go. We're not doing nothing for the next. whenever this gets finished.
Again, I saved it. I just read it. I had to save it because I was like, this is gonna be great. And I need like a wild card. Like, I need to save this for when I need like that great
Yeah.
just book to pull me in. And so
Yeah.
I was, and I know like no one was like really posting stories, but like I started to get jealous because everybody was just like, oh my God, this book. And I was like, nope, not yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready yet.
Did you get any spoilers?
I did not get any spoilers, which I'm so thankful for, but it was as to be expected.
And it was so good in a completely different way than Before I Let Go.
Yes.
In a completely different way. Like, is this part of the same book series?
Right.
Like, completely
Yes.
different.
Yes. This one was, and I think, I haven't officially posted my review publicly yet. But one of the things that, I say in my Neck Alley review is making sure, again, and I said the same thing with Tia Williams' new book, making
Mhm.
sure that people know this is going to be a slow burn. So kind of, Before I Let Go had some of that tension in it because they were in each other's atmosphere a lot because they're co-parenting, and not so much in each other's atmosphere a lot in This Could Be Us. And it was a really slow burn, but I was not itching. Like, as I'm reading, like, I think, because I like to note as I read.
Uh-huh.
And I think at the percentage mark, I was like, oh my gosh, like, we're finally like moving somewhere with this romance. And I was
Mhm.
like, I haven't been itching for it. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I read books and I'm like, all right, when are we gonna get to it?
Right.
I was all in on Soledad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that women's fiction part that is the second part of her writing romance because it's about the woman.
Yeah.
Mostly, it's about the woman and her romance with whomever. But I mean, they give a part of Judah as well. They tell us a little bit about what he's got going on too, which I love.
Yeah. Soledad did remind me, I don't know if you noticed any of this, maybe some of her, I guess, will to make it, her will to
Yes.
pull forward. Some of that really reminded me of Iris from Longshot.
Yes.
And I really like, again, I really liked the focus on she could have had someone save her,
Yeah.
but she did it herself.
Because let me tell you something, when everything popped off with Eddie, I was like, how is she going to make this work? Like, how is she going to navigate all of everything that's going on after this series of events that just happened with three children?
And one of them is a daddy's girl. Like, and
Yeah,
I couldn't be mad at the daughter for, loving her dad. Just the
right.
fact that her dad is a awful person. And let's back up a second because I feel like we just kind of went at it. So, if you don't know what it's about, basically Soledad has three kids. She's a friend of Yasmin from the first one. And yeah, her life is not going the way she expected it, especially with her husband.
Yeah.
And she finds herself having to pick up the pieces. And in the middle of the chaos of the tornado of her life, she meets a wonderful, wonderful man. And even that, like, when we meet him, I was like, well, wait, is that him? Like, wait a minute, how is this gonna
I was like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. How is this? Is this the love interest of the book?
right?
How is that going to work?
Like, oh, this could be get really awkward too.
Right.
Like,
It's already awkward when we meet him and we find out that, how the husband feels about this person. You're just kind of like, oh, how they gonna, what's gonna happen?
oh my gosh. And I think that adds to the tension of everything because you're
Yes,
rooting for it, but you also understand like the hesitation on all
yes,
parts
yes.
and how complicated and messy this has a potential of getting. And then factoring in the ex-husband and his
Shenanigans.
shenanigans. She knows how to write some awful men.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm really excited to see everyone's take and review on it. I kind of want to talk about the ending, and I know we can't say too much. I just want to know maybe Were you satisfied with the ending? What did the ending work for you?
With Soledad and Judah, yes.
Okay.
It was different. I will say that.
Yes.
Because I was
Yes.
like, huh, okay. If we're talking about Eddie, no. I was not satisfied with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I needed him to go over a cliff.
I was actually, now that I think about it, I was very unsatisfied with what happened to Eddie. When we catch you, Eddie,
When we
okay?
can, yeah, don't be in these streets, sir.
Don't be in these streets, Eddie, okay? We all looking out for you.
I agree. I really, aside from that, I really did like the way that it, I don't know if I want to say wrapped up. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's an ending, so it's kind of a wrap up, but I was really satisfied with the way she took the story,
Yes.
because it could have been so many other things,
Mhm.
so many things that we've seen before.
Exactly.
It could have been, and it would have been fine. Would have been great,
Mhm.
especially so many of the other ways that she's wrapped up some of her other books. But I felt like she kind of veered a little bit,
Yeah.
and that made it feel like this is really realistic. Like, I
Yes.
like this.
It was, I don't think I've read, and I mean, I haven't read all the books in the world, but I don't think I've read a story romance book with that kind of ending before. And that's why I was like, okay, this is unique.
I'm so excited. I still pre-ordered, so I got the Neck Alley copy, but I still pre-ordered the one
Okay.
from Barnes and Noble with
Okay,
the,
same.
pretty edition. So I just can't wait to have it and to be able to hold it.
Right. Now you know she's going on tour. Were you able to see, is she coming near you or no?
No, I'm in Vegas.
Okay.
Nothing, unless you're like Beyonce, like nothing really, and Beyonce just started coming to Vegas. Nothing really comes to
Mm-hmm.
Vegas in terms of that. She is gonna be in Long Beach, and that's like a 4-hour drive for me. So I thought about, like, I could do a turnaround if I wanted to, or stay the night and hit some other bookstores. But I feel like by the time I make a decision, the tickets are probably gonna be gone. Yeah, how about you?
There's one, I'm in the Dallas area. There's one in Houston. But since I'm in school now, I
Mm,
think that limits my time to be able to
mm.
go see her. And then of course, by the time I decided whether or not I wanted to risk my classes, they're sold out. The tickets are sold out. Maybe I can meet her next year, I guess.
Yeah. I'm hoping maybe, and I don't know, I haven't looked, maybe she'll do something virtual. She
Uh-huh.
did something virtual not too long ago, maybe 6 months or so ago, with Christina on Instagram. I don't know if you follow Booked Till Dawn.
No, I haven't heard of her.
I'll send it to you. And they sat down for a little over an hour. I think they were more so focusing on the Hoop series,
Uh-huh.
but it was just cool to see the discussion and hear her talk about it, and the fact that, and at the time I didn't know that she has an autistic son, and there's
Mhm.
an autistic character, and this could be us. So that tie and how much it meant to her to be able to do it, and her writings, process and style. So if anyone out there who's listening can't make it, I think that that's a good conversation, and I'll link it in the show notes. I think that's a good conversation to listen to. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to catch something virtual to where I
Yeah.
can at least feel like,
I feel like
okay.
she talks to quite a few people. Well, I don't know about all the people, but I've caught a virtual conversation with her and Zaji Kali.
Hmm.
Um, and they talked about the hoop series, but then they also talked about This Could Be Us just a little bit. She's just so
Yeah.
down to earth, and if you send her a
Yes.
message, she'll message you back. She responds to comments.
Oh my
She's
gosh. I did a reel, and I used oh my gosh, Cody Rigsby from Peloton. I
uh-huh.
used one of his
Gotcha.
clips, and
Yeah.
it was like, I'm a fan, I'm a stan, I'm
Yeah.
an ambassador. And I did it with her book, and I tagged her in it. And I get so nervous tagging authors and things, because I'm like, I don't want them to think like, oh, here's another bad review, or
Right.
somebody asking, so I get really nervous about it. I don't typically tag authors, but I tagged her in it, and she responded. She was like, "Oh, this made my day. This was great." And then she shared to her stories, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
I love you so much.
Just had a whole fangirl moment. And I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, what do I say back?" I told my sister. My sister was like, what would you say to a normal person? Like, calm down.
It's like, no, it's not a normal person. That's what you don't understand.
Do you have any other anything else that you want to just gush about or
You know what? After I started thinking about it, Natasha Bishop, Only for the Week, great book. You read it?
I read it on a flight back from New York and I may have cried at the end cuz I was just like,
Rome Martin.
so this is another one. Here's another trope. So for those of you out there who don't know, Only for the Week is it follows a sister who's heading to Tulum for
Yeah.
2 weeks with her sister's wedding party and her sister is marrying her ex. And I if my sister like
Wedding wear.
there
Like,
would be no question.
there would
Like
be
you ran
no
into
way.
who? And y'all went where?
Right.
Ma'am. How about no? Like, and I'm the older sister, so now I'm coming down there to fight you and knock
Right.
some sense into you because it's just
Because
not
what?
happening.
Why is this okay? And then the parents are like, yeah, are you what? Why is everybody okay with this? Like, it has nothing to do with whether I like the person still or not. It's just the principle. Like, what is happening? That threw me for a whole loop.
Yes, yes, yes. Again, ready to fight characters because her sister has acts a fool some and some other people act a fool sometimes. And so in steps Rome Martin, who decides to distract her for the week. And
Did he distract?
did he?
Did he
Did.
deliver? Rome.
He is everyone's book boyfriend, and now I know why. Now I know why.
Exactly. I always see Rome Martin, Rome Martin. I was like, who is this? What book
Yeah.
is this from? I understand now.
Have you read anything else from Natasha Bishop?
No, and I want to because if all the books are like that one, then sign me up.
Very
I actually
true.
need to order from her website because I actually got Only for the Week because somebody had did a little reel of some book mail that they got from her and it was all packaged nice and she wrapped it all cute. She signed the book and stuff like that with the person's name in it. You could just see like the care that was put into packaging the book. So I was like, I want a personalized book. So I got Only for the Week and I didn't know what to expect. I was just like, I just want a personalized book that's signed by the author. And boy, I'm so happy I did.
It's
Go
great.
read that book.
It was so good. Yeah, now thank you though, because I was gonna buy it. And she's an indie author, so of course, like
Mhm.
or not of course, but I don't know that her books like that I'd be able to find it in like a Barnes and Noble. My local indie bookstore, they don't have a lot of black books,
Uh-huh.
so I knew I wasn't gonna find it there. And so I it's been on my mind, and I'm like, I might just have to go ahead and make this purchase from Amazon. Usually I don't mind like doing a bookshop.org, especially if I've already read it, because it's like y'all could take 2 weeks with this. I've already read it, it's fine. But
Right.
no, now I'll definitely order it from her website because that sounds like a just a great thing to have. Okay, well, wrapping up here, do you on your Bookstagram page, I'm trying to think, do you rate or review things that maybe weren't so much a win for you, or is everything on there something you would recommend someone try?
You know what? So if I DNF it, if I DNF a book, it's usually a 2 stars or below.
Okay.
So you won't see anything that's 2 stars. You might see something that's a 3 star, but I'll say like, I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
Like this one kind of fell short, you know. It was okay, but you'll never see except for tomorrow, 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 which that's the only one you'll see that I was just like, what was this? What was
This is
this?
a no. I'm telling everyone, do not read this.
No. And it's so funny because I talk to my friends about it and they're like, oh, I just love that book. I know different strokes for different folks, but
Yeah, yeah. I feel that way about and this is total like historical fiction, so it's a whole other thing. But All the Light We Cannot See, it's like a old I don't want to say old, but it was like mid 2000s, like it's been out for a while. They just
uh-huh,
made it into I think a Netflix movie or series.
uh-huh.
I like, and I've talked to some of my friends, some of my family that do not read that love that book. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why.
Yeah.
it makes me so angry. And so when I saw that they were getting like a TV show or some kind of adaptation, I was just like, why?
Why? Why are we
Why?
wasting our monies on this?
Okay, so the last round is called There's a Book for That.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna ask you some questions, and whatever book pops into your mind first, just spit out the answer. Well, and this one's, oh, we'll go with it. What was your top read of 2023?
Um, well, before I let go, we'll say that.
It's okay. That was my number one read too.
We'll
So
say
it's
that.
just we'll reemphasize that. So what's a book that you recommend to everyone? That's not Before I Let Go.
Their Vicious Games was really good.
That was a good one. That was it. She has a new one coming out this year, that I'm excited for. Are you gonna get an arc of that one?
I hope so. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the
I think
plan.
I think I'm gonna wait. But yeah, I'm really loving these YA thrillers.
Yeah, that one was one of a kind. I was not
Yes.
expecting that.
A book that made you cry. I don't
Oh
are you a
yeah,
crier?
yeah, all of
You
Kenny
are.
Ryan, mostly all of Kenny Ryan's books. But let's talk about something different. I feel like I might have cried. Who was dying? There was a book, Fourth Wing, I think.
Okay.
I think I might have cried in Fourth Wing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I haven't read that one. I honestly I thought you were gonna say The Reformatory.
The Reformatory was just like, oh my God. No, I didn't cry. I cringed a lot in
Oh
Reformatory.
my. There was a I put this on Threads the other day. There was a line, and and you'll probably know it, but when the character was like, and that was the last time that he saw blank, I was cooking dinner and I was like, oh boy, and like the tears, because I
Yes.
knew what that meant.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. When they said that, I was like, you mean for like the day? Or like that's the last time you saw them that day? For the rest of the day?
I was not. I had to. I was not okay. And guys, that's not a spoiler. There are so many
Yeah.
characters and so many things going on that you won't know who we're talking about until you literally hear that line. But yeah, yeah. So I just knew. I'm like, oh, is she gonna say it? I just thought like, oh, she's gonna say it.
I had to actually listen to that one in like bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it was
Yeah, it
just
was heavy.
yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy
It
for
was
sure.
definitely heavy. What about a book that made you laugh?
Joya Goffney writes hilarious books. And it's young adult books too. But Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry and Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl, hilarious. Those are my go-to books. Like anytime I need like a pick me up, like I'm feeling like I just need to, I'm in a slump or I need like need a laugh. Joya Goffney.
Okay, okay. Are those YA?
Yes.
Okay, are they YA romance or like just YA like general fiction?
There's a little bit of romance in there.
Okay.
I mean, it's like high school type of, don't expect
Hmm.
nothing, you know,
Right. Yeah, let's keep
crazy.
it PG. They're high
It's
school. Okay.
PG. It's PG for sure.
What about a book that you've had on your physical bookshelf for a long time and you still have not read it?
There's a book called Her Little Secrets by
Mm.
Jennifer Hillier that I have that's been kicking it on my shelf for quite some time.
Is that a, it sounds like a thriller.
Yeah, it is. Actually, Perfect Find by Tia Williams too. That's been chilling on my
Oh,
shelf
okay.
for a long time.
Okay. Okay, last couple of ones. What's the last book you purchased?
Never Wraith. It is by Shakir Rashan. I found out about him after reading Sharina Harris, The Sign of the Slayer. That's also a good book. It's funny too. That
Okay.
one, fantasy book, vampires, Vampire
Ooh, I
Slayer.
love that.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I don't think that was my first vampire read since I started getting back into reading, and I was thoroughly entertained. That was a really good book. I think I rated it 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I did.
And then the last one, really not like a there's a book for that. I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, but what's your preferred method of reading? Kindle, audio, physical?
I'll have to say audio. I mean, it doesn't. So I think it would be a tie between physical and audio, and then the Kindle ebook would come last. But I
Okay.
still read ebooks. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Does it depend on the genre at all?
Fantasy, it should probably be audiobook,
Okay.
so that I can get
Okay.
the names and the things right.
Oh my gosh, right?
Right. It just flows a little bit better. But I have
Mhm.
read it in the books.
Okay, just curious. I think like memoirs are like really great experiences on audio, especially if like the author's
The
good at
author is
reading
reading
it.
it.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, y'all,
Yes.
and listening to me talk.
Yes,
Otherwise,
absolutely. And then one last time, tell us about your social media platform where people can connect and find with you, all of the stuff.
sure. So I'm on Bookstagram and Bookstagram only because I don't have time to manage other accounts. At her dot shelf indulgence. And I just sit up on there and post book reviews and make reels when I have time for it.
Yes, guys, go check out the page, go follow, go engage. Great content. Of course, everything will be linked in the show notes, so you'll be able to easily find her over on Bookstagram. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining today. And guys, please go read This Could Be Us from Kennedy
Yeah.
Ryan. If you have not read Before I Let Go, you don't have to. It's not, it is its own standalone, so you can jump into it. I mean, I suggest Before I Let Go, but if you're ready to just jump in and read it, I think you can do that without reading the first one. So please go read and let us know what you thought about the book. Yeah. All
Yes.
right, guys. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye. Hey, one last thing before you go. Are you looking for a group to read and chat about books with? If so, I'd love to invite you to join us on our current buddy read of Call Us What We Carry by Amanda Gorman. We'll be having a virtual meetup to discuss this book of poetry on Sunday, April 7th. All the details, including the link to join and our monthly chat, can be found in the Geneva app, which you can access by clicking the link in the show note. Quick reminder that all books mentioned can also be found in today's show note. Thanks so much for listening to the episode and wishing you a wonderful reading adventure until we meet again. Chat soon.